Welcome back to the Tiga Tactics podcast, a show about self-defense for civilians by civilians. We discuss all things personal protection, including martial arts, combat sports, and street combatives. Our resident MANs, martial arts nerds, include co-founder of Tiga Tactics and holder of black belts in 9 different styles, Dr. Conrad Bui.
Hello, everybody.
We also have black belt holder in 4 different styles, the other co-founder, Patrick Vuong.
Greetings, my fellow martial arts geeks.
And I am the third co-host, retired Army Special Forces soldier, champion obstacle course racing athlete, Evan, Ultra-OCR man, Perperis. Today we're going to be talking about, is bad training better than no training? I think this is going to be a very interesting topic because I think we might have some disagreements. We'll see. But before that, quick shout out to this episode's sponsor. This is brought to you by Vulpus Training. Again, if you've been listening to Tiga Tactics podcast for the last year, you've heard us mention Vulpus. Great training products. I just ordered a whole bunch of things from them, including I changed after I saw what Conrad was ordering. Side note, I changed my order. He ordered one of like the Hawaiian war clubs, and I can't remember the actual name of it. Do you remember the name, Conrad?
No, I don't. But when I ordered it, I thought, man, you could really use this thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to simulate like the wooden clubs with like the shark teeth along the edge.
Yeah.
And I bought a Hawaiian Lua book from Dragonfest this past year, which I have not read. And I thought, well, this would be a great opportunity to read and train it. So I after I saw your order, I switched my order. So that was one thing I got. The other thing I got it's essentially the machete from the Book of Eli. It is awesome looking. I got a live version also, but I also now have a trainer coming from Vulpus. And I specifically got that because at the end of the month, probably a couple days after this podcast publishes, I'm doing a Book of Eli webinar with Phil Elmore.
Oh, no, I'm going to have to watch that again then.
This is going to be, so this is maybe I'm right. Like, I feel like sometimes we get biased because it's our own things, but this might be my favorite webinar we've done. And I'll jump into it at the end when we kind of plug some of the stuff. Let's get to today's episode though. So today we're going to be talking about, is bad training better than no training? And before we start like deep picking apart that statement, let's go around the horn once. Just give me like a 1-word answer and then like maybe one sentence to go along with it, just to kind of get initial thoughts. I'm going to start off with Patrick.
Is bad training better than no training? Maybe. It depends on how we define bad.
Okay. Conrad, initial thoughts, just one sentence.
How bad is bad? But let me just start with bad training. Is it better than no training? Yes. Ish.
Ish. Okay. I'm going to say yes. And like you guys, there's a lot of caveats and concerns there. But the training has to be really, really bad for it to be worse than no training. Okay, so I guess let's start off. How would we define bad training? I guess we should probably define that before we start picking apart the statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I guess Patrick, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we talk about bad training, there's all kinds of different training. So we kind of have to define, number one, what is the training, what is the purpose, and then we can define whether that's bad training or good training. So going back to the first part, what are we training for? If we're training for self-defense, then that means we have to be training something that is effective, that works against the most common street attacks, and that will keep you relatively unharmed while subduing the attacker. But if we're talking about combat sports, then that's a totally different set of training. There's a lot of overlap, but the training will be different. And then you have to see, well, is this training good to allow me to become victorious if I'm in the ring or on the mat? Will it keep me injury-free? Will I maintain my longevity so I can continue having a good combat sports career? And then if we're talking about martial arts, specifically traditional arts, then that's a whole nother set of different training, And so then you have to ask, well, am I training for kata? Am I training for specific individual techniques like blocks, punches, and kicks? Am I training for speed and agility, or am I training for height of kicks? So there's a huge spectrum of training. And so to me, it's really important to define that first before we can define what's bad in each of those categories.
Ah, excellent. These are that's you're even going even deeper than I was expecting. That is an excellent point. I had not considered that, but yes, I agree with all those statements. Anything to add, Conrad?
Yes, when I approach training, whether that's training Tiga tactics, training Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Bagua Jeet Kune Do, I try to approach it from how Tiga Tactics approaches our seminars. Number one, is it safe? Number two, is it fun? And number three, is it effective? So I think the foundation is safe. Is it safe? Whether you're at the range or you're doing Tai Chi, is it safe? And then that would be the number one criteria. If I would suppose if we said training is bad training, number one part of bad training would be it's unsafe. I mean, maybe you're overdoing it or you're punching and you're extending your joints too much. You know, if you have a good teacher, they'll say extend to about 80, 90% max, but never go to 100% extension on your punches or strikes. And that'll save your joints. Round kicks, man, if you don't pivot, you're going to tear up and torque up your knee. I see a lot of people, they don't pivot when they round kick, and man, they're just drilling their knee, they're drilling into the ground, but the foot's not moving, the knee's stuck there, the ankle's is stuck there, and they're just torquing that knee. Give me 100 round kicks, you're torquing it 100 times. So if the criteria of safety isn't there, then yes, that is categorically bad training. The second part is obviously if it's not safe, you're not going to have fun. And so if you're injuring yourself, you're not going to have fun. And at the same time, even if it is safe and you're kind of doing it maybe to torture yourself for some reason or another, I don't believe that's sustainable. I already have enough punishment being married, so I don't need to punish myself any extra training martial arts. So is it fun? And then, of course,
Conrad, I feel personally attacked because all of my personal hobbies are torturous to myself.
well then, you must have a very blissful marriage because you find torture somewhere else. And then, is it effective? And I think effective is like what Patrick said. What is your goal for what you're training? And so, if your goal is just to train as a hobby, as something just fun for yourself to do, then I consider that effective for what you're looking for. If your goal is just to socialize, like, I don't want to go hang out at the bar, but I want to go hang out with people. And I'm going to go to the jiu-jitsu gym, or I'm going to go to Tai Chi class, or whatever it is, because you like to hang out there. I consider that pretty effective. So is it safe? Is it fun? Is it effective? If it checks off all those boxes, it's a solid activity. And damn the court of public opinion. If somebody's looking at you and they go, oh, it's so weird what you're doing. How are you even doing that? Why? It's so silly looking. Oh, who cares what they say? If it's a safe activity, you're having fun and it's effective for what you're looking for, do it. So what are your thoughts, Evan?
Man, you guys are like changing my opinion. That was good. Both of those were good. I hadn't, the safe part is huge. I think that is very profound to me. You're right, because you're right. If it's not safe, then you're better off. Honestly, you're better off not training, because then you can do something else that'll keep you healthy, or you can do other things that'll keep you safe. But if you're constantly like getting injured, not necessarily the injuries that I sustain in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I feel like on a monthly basis, but like serious injuries, right? Like most of my jiu-jitsu injuries are just like
that's just part of the payment.
That is part of the payment. That is part of the payment. So yeah, safety. If it's not safe, I feel like that is then you'd be better to have quote unquote no training if you're not having, if it's not safe. For traditional martial arts, probably not surprising to our listeners. We've talked about this before. If you not every system has to be good for every single thing. And if you're enjoying yourself, like you said, and you're being safe, I go for it. Like you said, I'm someone who always, I feel like, marched to the beat of my own drum in high school and college and even now. So yeah, if you're enjoying it and it's safe, go for it. For combat sports, is bad training better than no training? Again, if you're training and like going maybe some light sparring or just having fun or just doing it for fitness, yeah, to me that's fine. But if you're going into like full contact fights with bad training,
That's not safe.
yeah, then probably, yeah, I think the criteria you laid out is good. Like, yeah, that's probably not. You're probably better off. I mean, you're better off finding a better trainer. But that's assuming you don't know. For street self defense, this is when I pictured the topic. This is where I kind of pictured my brain going down. For street self defense, I think as long as it's not telling you to do things that are dangerous and illegal, right? So like if you're like, okay, someone start a street fight and the solution is you shoot them or you stab them, like hold on, like let's back up, you know. All right, if you get into an argument and road rage incident, just shoot the guy. Like that is bad. If that's the advice you're getting, obviously, that is worse than having no training at all. But for most, let's assume the person instructing or the system they're teaching at least has like a basis in reality and they're not completely off the wall. I think even bad training is better than no training. And you know, like two or 3 years ago, I don't think I would have agreed with that statement. But the more kind of research I've done on how bad guys pick targets, they tend to pick targets a lot based off of. There's a whole bunch of criteria: how they're walking, their stride length, and their posture. But essentially, what it comes down to, you can kind of distill all those little micro suggestions down to confidence. So even if you're training something that is not going to be effective or self-defense, if it is giving you confidence, it is letting you walk down the street more confidently, it will make you less likely to become a target, which I think is preventing the incident from occurring in the first place. And that was why I said yes. Bad training is better than no training initially. My 2 cents.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. No, you kind of tied into something that I was going to say a little bit later, but there are a lot of traditional martial arts out there who claim that they are the ultimate self-defense system. And I always have to stop those people and say, no, you could possibly claim that you're the ultimate martial art, but you cannot claim that you're the ultimate self-defense system, because those two things are completely different. And normally I would poo-poo them. I would say, hey, don't train with this martial art. They think, they're a cult. They think they're going to teach you all this awesome self-defense. But the truth is, you're right. If let's just say you've got a relatively inexperienced student, let's say they're like advanced beginner or maybe intermediate student, they've been trained there for maybe a year, they're probably a little bit more aware of their surroundings by now. They understand that they have certain skills. It might not be great skills, in our eyes, but in their eyes, they may be more confident, they may be more aware, and that may actually help them on the street, at least to avoid things or to pick up cues that, had they not trained in anything, they've never seen in the first place. So there is some benefit there. But of course, it's always school dependent, dojo dependent. And so I say that with like an asterisk on the side.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that I feel like when people learn new stuff, there's kind of like a dip in performance before it rises, right? So I feel like when you teach someone new at striking something, if I don't teach them anything, they're just going to throw wild haymakers, and they're going to be hard, and they're going to be sloppy, and they're not going to be good. But they'll be aggressive. I feel like when you start teaching someone a skill, they start thinking about the skill too much instead of just being aggressive, and I think their performance actually dips a little bit before they kind of refine the technique and it becomes a little more natural, and then their performance will improve prior. So like if you only go to like one class and then never come back, I feel like it would be worse than if you went to no classes. But you got to keep showing up essentially to continue to get better.
Right. And Bruce Lee would agree with you. He said, before I learned martial arts, a punch was just a punch and a kick was just a kick. when I was learning martial arts, a punch was no longer a punch and a kick no longer a kick. And then when I finally mastered the martial art, a punch was just a punch and a kick is just a kick. So that learning portion, you're analyzing it, thinking it, trying to make it part of muscle memory. And so yeah, your performance in that technique or that movement does go down.
Yeah. What about should we talk about like specific I don't want to start like calling people out, but should we talk about like specific concepts or systems or styles or anything like that? Or is that too
Well, I don't know if we need to call out specific schools, but I think we can call out certain training trends, I guess.
Okay.
Like things that have become trendy that, oh man, I don't know if I don't know what you should be doing. There's the classic, internet meme of those dudes who say, I don't need training because when I see red, bodies hit the floor.
Yeah.
So clearly those guys, they should probably get some training, because they're in for a rude awakening.
We used to get someone who would say that probably every other combatives class, and they were never good. Never. Not like, oh, sometimes, no, never. Those dudes were always bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they always didn't know what they're doing. They would usually burn out. Like, we used way too much energy in the first 10 seconds and not do anything effective. So,
yeah. So even like the most minimal type of training would benefit those people as opposed to having no training at all, because clearly they live in a fantasy world. But we can pinpoint certain bad training trends, I would say. And I have to say, honestly, that sometimes it's just a matter of relativity or perspective, because I remember when I was, a traditional karate guy, traditional kung fu guy, and we'd see videos of people kicking banana trees. We'd say, oh man, that's so foolish. You can break your leg. Like, when are you ever going to fight a banana tree? And then later on, I learned Muay Thai and I realized, like, oh, well, these Thai guys are kicking banana trees because, number one, their shins are like freaking steel rods. And so they can kick banana trees. And number two, back in the day, there were no heavy bags. And so banana trees were their training tools. Right. And so, again, going back to like perspective, like, so something that maybe seemed bad at the time is actually there may be a good reason for that. But I think amongst the three of us, we know what's trendy and what's bad. So yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, and to your comment there, Patrick, that's why it's called banana bags, because they used to kick banana trees and now they kick. Some people call it like a Muay Thai bag, like the heavy bag that's long and it goes all the way to the ground almost. We call it banana bags because that's what they used to kick the banana trees. Now they have the longer bags now.
Right.
Interesting. Is that really true? Is that actually why they're called that?
That's what someone told me, but I've never fact checked. I just thought, oh, it makes sense.
Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, you use the equipment you have. So sometimes, like the traditional stuff, again, they use that because that's all they had. They didn't have century martial arts to go, or Thai battle boxing to go pick up the latest gear, right? So like sometimes I feel like people look at the old times and they're like, oh, this is the way we used to do it, which was better. And it's like, well, maybe if they had century martial arts, they wouldn't have been kicking a tree. I don't know.
Yeah. So, Evan, you mentioned like calling out any martial arts. Were there any martial arts in mind that you were about to call out?
It wasn't specific martial arts. The one I'm not going to name the guy, right? But there's like a famous like combative self-defense guy who always has like ridiculous stuff. And there's always memes going around about him. A couple years ago, I'd been like, well, this is complete garbage. He's doing unrealistic stuff. It's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. And again, after looking at more about how bad guys attack, I think if it's giving you confidence, I think he's training people for situations they're never going to encounter. So like why does it matter if I know how to like disarm dudes with like two dudes with guns? Cause you're probably not ever going to be in that situation. And I've also heard, again, I don't want to call out the specific guy. I've also heard that specific guy actually does like a bunch of community service stuff that helps out his neighborhood and his town. So, if becoming an internet meme / like butt of jokes allowed him the resources to do some of that stuff, then I don't know. maybe I'm getting softer in my old age, but I'm less emotional about it than I would have been 5 years ago.
That's a good point. He might be a good dude in real life.
But we did talk about like well, Evan, you mentioned that it gives people confidence. I think that's good. There can be a point where it can turn into a negative, where it becomes a false sense of confidence, overconfidence as well
Yeah.
too. So I think that's kind of a double-edged sword there as well too. If somebody's walking around and they have good confidence and they have the good body language, they're walking around like they're a predator and not prey, then yeah, that can prevent like a lot of problems. That being said, though, maybe this false sense of confidence might push them into using their skills, and that can get them in trouble.
I think that's true in an ego-based
Right.
situation where people are essentially social aggression. They're fighting for their own personal ego. But again, if you're tempering that with values and ethics and the stuff like I talk about in the back of my combatives blueprint, I think you walk away from that situation. I was listening to another podcaster who was like, "Show me." His argument for he didn't talk about this exactly, but he was talking about similar vein, and he was like, "Show me examples of someone having to defend themselves who trains like a martial art that people don't like, where it essentially made them worse." And he's like, I don't know of any examples. If anyone can find some, let me know. So I thought that was like an interesting point.
Interesting.
That is a good question to ask. It reminds me of this conversation I had with one of my friends. He's a good dude. He's a Krav Maga guy, and I know Krav Maga is interesting because outside people who are not martial artists, they view Krav Maga as like, oh my god, this is like a killer martial art, and then the people who do martial arts view it as, oh my god, this is like jack of all trades, master of none. This is a watered down system. Blah 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 blah. I personally, if you do Krav Maga, awesome. If you don't do Krav Maga, all right, cool. To me, I don't look at the system. I don't judge the system. I judge the individual teachers. And so my friend says, and he's a Krav Maga guy. He says Krav Maga is not the greatest martial art, but what is great at is teaching people how to be really aggressive in a self-defense situation. And I thought that's a great way to look at it. You're giving people, like, again, going back to the conversation about confidence versus false sense of security. It teaches people to get in really close, nullify any sort of like almost like intercepting them in a way, and getting used to just getting into the mix, getting in kissing distance, and just unloading a lot of strikes as quickly as possible. And so this is not me calling out Krav Maga, because I think if you have a great Krav Maga school or teacher, then it's a great system to learn. But that always stuck to me, like, because I see people online just bashing Krav Maga, and it just reminds me, like, yeah, it does a great job of teaching people to be super aggressive very quickly.
I feel like it's the butt of a lot of jokes in some circles. Some like I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys who would could consistently make fun of Krav Maga, but again, I think Krav Maga is so broad. I think like you were saying, the teacher is really going to matter. The teacher is going to matter, and the school is going to matter. I went to Aaron Giannetti Wreck the Neck seminar a couple of weeks ago, and he's a Krav Maga guy, but he's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, right? And his instruction method I thought was just really good. If anyone listened to the seminar episode me and Conrad did, that's what I was talking about there. And so yeah, it's very instructor dependent, and I think the range is very broad. But honestly, the range is really broad, and I feel like in almost every martial art. Krav Maga might be a little bit wider as far as like quality of the instructor, but I think you'll get absolutely phenomenal guys and some people who are not phenomenal as well.
Yeah, I think if we want to pin down certain, call out certain people, then we can just look at McDojo Life. Rob at McDojo Life has done such a great job of calling out these fraudsters. And if you want to see bad training, just watch a McDojo Life video on Instagram or YouTube, Facebook. He calls out a lot of these, they're unethical, they're frauds, or they're just clueless, and they're having their students do some crazy stuff. I can say 100%, honestly, if you're a student and your teacher is driving over you with a motorcycle, that's bad training. There's
that might not be safe.
Yes, there's literally no reason why your instructor should be driving over you with a motorcycle.
I feel like again Conrad nailed it with those kind of that first criteria at the beginning of the episode. Because a lot of the things you'll see will fall into that category, right? Where it's not safe or and you're not enjoying it. Like I don't want to be run over by a motorcycle. That sounds not pleasant. What about somebody? What about again? Speaking of like McDojo life and like what about something like dudes like throwing chi fireballs at people and like them falling over? Is that worse than no training? Because again, maybe it's giving them confidence, and yes, it's a complete false sense of confidence. But maybe they are so confident that they, the bad guy picks a different target, or maybe they're so confident they walk into the bad neighborhood late at night with no other weapons. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, I think those systems fail Conrad's test because is it safe training? Yes, no one's getting hurt. Is it fun? Hell yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. Looks like everybody knows the Force and they're all Jedi.
Yeah.
But is it effective? No. Obviously, if they go to spar any other school, they would get punched in the face, basically.
Right.
And we have seen that on videos, challenge matches where they walk into another school or somebody comes into their school and challenges them and they're like, sure, I'll show you my chi. And then they proceed to get punched in the face.
Excellent point. Conrad, you ruined the episode by providing a succinct, well thought out answer criteria at the beginning.
Apologies. Speaking of McDojo life, though, there are some videos on McDojo life. I think. Oh gosh, I would categorize them into. It's okay to do what they're doing. Again, is it a little weird to look at them? Yeah, there's this one. He's a older gentleman, kind of thin. He's from Russia, and he moves like he has some neurological condition. And you probably know who I'm talking about. And his hands are always in claws. And if you saw him walking towards you late at night, you would probably run the other way.
I would cross the street.
Yes. Across the street. Doing his movements and stuff. Yeah, I would across the street as well too. I actually found out that his system is called Choryok, Choriok, and he's from Russia. And I don't know anything about that art. It looks funny, and I have to tell you, as a nerd, I actually pretend to be him and try to move like him. It's a little fun. It's a little funky, but I don't know. That I'm on the fence about that guy. There's another person out there. You've probably seen his videos. This is a white man. He's big. Rather big, and then he's has a black belt, and he's doing these jump kicks that probably go about as high as his knees when he kicks. And he's like kicking, and I can't tell if he's being serious or he's making fun of it. I can't tell, and I have to say though, he's out there, he's moving around. If he's serious, more power to him. If he's making fun of it, more power to him because he's out there moving. So, you guys see those videos?
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
I do not know who you're talking about on the second one.
Evan, imagine Butterbean. You remember the boxer Butterbean?
Yeah.
He's big dude, like obese dude. But just have him wear a gi and a black belt and a headband.
Gotcha.
And that's who Conrad's talking about.
Gotcha. I think the other thing important to point out is just because we're saying that it's better than no training, there's still a scale, right? Like there's still systems that are much better than other systems for what they're designed for, right? So I feel like I should caveat that after me being like, yeah, any training is better than no training. Yeah, but like there's also like, some systems will teach you to be a better fighter 100% than other systems. So
yes,
just something to be aware of. Not that I'm saying that, but at the same time, right? I think there's value in most martial arts. There's at least like a small fraction of value you take out of pretty much any martial art. So yeah.
Yes.
Hey, go ahead, Patrick.
I was gonna say, just since we were mentioning McDojo Live, he's also shown a lot of videos of instructors who basically he has all his students line up and he literally just punches them in the face repeatedly. And the thought is that, he's toughening them up. My thinking is, wow, this is a great way to deliver CTE early in life, like just so much brain damage repeatedly. And they all just line up and they all take it. And to me, That is bad training. I'd
Yes.
rather do no training than get punched repeatedly by my instructor.
Yeah, that's not safe.
Not safe. Again, Conrad, you ruined it. You ruined it, Conrad.
Sorry. Yeah, I want to go back to the fun part. Evan, you mentioned that most of your activities involves torture and torturing yourself. What is your mindset on that? I mean, you're obviously cut from a different cloth than many people. So, why? What are you thinking like when you're like, I just need to run and do these obstacle courses for 24 hours, yeah. So what is your mindset on that?
Most of the fun, I feel like, well, a good portion of the fun is the feeling of accomplishment you get at the end, right? So that it's the delayed gratification. And I think a lot of people, especially in today's age, have trouble with delayed gratification when I can stream any movie from my phone or order Amazon and it shows up immediately, right? It's delayed gratification. I enjoy the work I put in that makes me better or that produces something. So there are portions I enjoy. It's not every minute of every training session I enjoy, right?
Right.
Some long runs are terrible. A lot of times I'm like, oh, I don't want to go for a long run. But maybe I'm putting on a podcast and I enjoy that podcast and I enjoy the feeling I get when I finish. And I enjoy, after training hard, like coming home and spending time with my family. So I think it provides enjoyment in a different way. And then like during the course, when you hit a hard obstacle and you're able to do it, despite being very far into the race, like that's a great feeling. You get a runner's high at some points where like sometimes when you're like deep into a race, and you get the effort level is like matching your skill, like you feel like you're almost invincible. I just have, as of this recording, a picture went up on the Vanguard wall / my Instagram page where it has me running and I'm smiling and I'm in like this yellow jersey of a race. I'm like 11 hours into the race at that point, like 50 plus miles, and I'm all smiles.
Wow.
There's like endorphins just dripping through my brain. It's
Nice.
just and because I know I'm in second place. I know I'm not going to get past and end up in fourth. I don't think I can really catch first, so I'm just kind of cruising it out, and I think probably like 2 miles left in that specific race. So yeah, portions I enjoy, not all of it.
Okay. So there is enjoyment. There may be delayed gratification, but there is some fun that keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah, I think people in today's age just think that every minute of every training session has to be fun, and if you do that, you'll never really accomplish anything, because anything that's worth accomplishing takes some level of effort and pain on, even if it's like writing a book. Like parts of that are not fun.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, I think we did a really good deep dive on this. Let's wrap it up. So let's start with you, Evan. You asked us the question first. Go ahead, wrap it up. And did your opinion on this change at all?
My opinion didn't quite change, although it's now a lot more nuanced than it was about an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, whatever it was. So yeah, I still think most training is like, I'll refine my answer is, if it fits your criteria, then it is better than no training. But again, there are more effective systems and styles you can do for training.
Yeah, I think, now that we've gotten a little bit more nuanced and understand what kind of training we're going for, what the purpose is for, I would say that as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, bad training may be a little bit better than no training at all, because at least you're moving, you're getting exercise, you're being a little bit more aware, self-aware, situationally aware, all that good stuff. So to a certain extent, some bad training may be better than no training at all.
All right. And I'd like to wrap it up with this. Don't use it as an excuse. I've met so many people. Oh, I'm waiting for the right teacher so I can get great training. I'm waiting for the right style. I'm waiting for some Brazilian jiu-jitsu to open up in my neighborhood so I can go there. I'm waiting. Don't use that as an excuse. Go and get the training. Obviously, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. So, go out there and start training. As long as it's safe for you, it's fun. Go out there and get the training. And actually, who cares about the effectiveness depending on what your goal is? It doesn't always have to be about fighting and beating people up, being the number one on the streets or in the ring. Go get that training, and you'll you'll find you'll find what you're looking for as long as you're still on the path and you're going upwards on that path. You'll eventually find what you're looking for. So don't use that as an excuse.
That was an excellent wrap up. Thank you, Conrad. You said it very well. Let's close out the podcast. Patrick, any things our listeners need to look out for, upcoming events, etc. Shout out you want to give?
Yeah, in the coming week or two, we're probably gonna announce details for our next in-person seminar, which will be in Maryland, but it'll be in the spring. But like I said, we'll announce the details soon. So if you're on the East Coast and want to train with us face to face, this is the time to do it, and that will be in April. And then we also have I'm super excited for our next online endeavor. It's going to be an online home study course or home study program, kind of an ongoing program. And I'm just going to say it's a traditional martial arts, so it's a little bit different from our usual Tiga Tactics combatives, but I think people will be super excited about it. I know I'm pumped.
Yeah, well, we should go ahead and just announce it. I think we announced it at our previous webinar there.
Sure. It's going to be the Tiga Tactics Silat Sarak online program. So people who are interested in Pencak Silat, specifically a system called Sarak, that's what Guru Conrad is going to share with the world. So Conrad, why don't you explain a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited about this because I'm going to share the entire system. I'm not holding anything back. There's no more secrets. Sarak, depending which family that you come from, it can be very secretive, and then you're not supposed to show this, you're not supposed to show that. Forget that. And I'm showing everything. And so, of course, I'm not just going to give it all to you right away, because that's just not the progression that people should take. You can't just jump into advanced calculus and differential equations without learning a little bit about addition, subtraction, multiplication, those kind of things. But I am going to show everything. I'm not holding anything back. A lot of people have asked me, if you could pick one art of all the stuff you do, everything you do, what would it be? And, if I had to, someone held a gun to my hand that you could only train one thing, it probably would be Silat Sarak, because it has the best of both worlds of the combatives and the art too. So as far as the art goes, it's a very compact art. You can kind of think of it like Wing Chun almost. There's not a lot of forms or sets, but there's a lot of training, and then there's a lot of theory. And also the theories, the concepts blew my mind when I learned it, and I'm just really excited to share this with everyone.
You guys are killing me. I got to do Silat too. Yeah, now you just added another thing to my plate.
You have to. No, honestly, I'm very fortunate. I'm Conrad's cousin, so he ever since I was much younger as a kid, he'd show me a little bit here and there. But once I got serious about martial arts, he realized, oh, this kid's gonna stick to martial arts, so let me show him a little bit more. And he started showing me more. And as he did, I realized that it was the key. Like, good Silat is the key that unlocks all other martial arts. And people who don't train don't quite understand that, but literally it will teach you things in terms of concepts and principles rather than sequences and techniques. And once I understood that, even more so than in Filipino martial arts, which is also a combat concepts-based system, it's even more sophisticated and more precise. And it blew me away, made my martial arts 10 times better because of it, because of all those key concepts that really unlocked everything.
Well, you guys have been right about pretty much every martial arts opinion I've thought I had at some point. So I'm going to trust your opinion on this one and start training once the system drops for everyone. So I'm looking forward to following along. I've done a little bit of Silat. It was kind of sprinkled into some of the Jeet Kune Do we did. But I'm excited, and I'll be starting
the Western Piper too.
Oh yeah, there's like a little bit at the level 3 of Western Piper as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited to start exploring it from a beginner perspective, and looking forward to it. Big things I have coming up. The Friday, the 23rd, which probably this is right around when this drops, I need you to go over and check out Vanguard Wall podcast on YouTube. We are dropping my interview on there. I flew out to Austin, spent 3 days there, did a insane long interview with the host Asher. I don't know how long we were talking for. It felt like 7 hours. I'm not sure how long the actual episode is going to be because I think some of it will be edited and some of like the breaks will be missing, obviously. But it was so long and so in depth. We talked my childhood. We talked first and second deployments. We talked special forces, Ranger School, dive school. We talked obstacle course racing, and then we like did a huge block on religion, orthodoxy, specifically Christianity. So it was intense. Like I was like exhausted from talking.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was just a cool weekend. Like I feel like there's been points in my life where I've had experiences and I'm like, what did I do to deserve to even find myself in this opportunity? And that was definitely one of those moments. Got to work out with him. He was like, you going in the cold plunge? He's like an ice tub, like cold plunge thing. And I was like, well, he was like, you going in? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going in. So I go in and we get out and then he's talking to his wife. He's like, everyone in the cold plunge this morning. And I was like, yeah. He's like, he's the only guest to do it. We're like 30. I'm like, I was guest 34. I'm the only one to go in the cold plunge. I was laughing. It just, yeah, I jumped in and I was like, this is terrible. And he's like, you're handling it really well. I was like, I know. I just don't show a lot of pain. I was like, I'm not having fun. My feet hurt. And he's like,
wait, but aren't his other guests also, soft guys?
yeah, there's a bunch of soft dudes. There's a bunch of dudes who've been in like better units than I have. And there's like he had some actors on and other combat vets. I was shocked that I was the only person to go in the cold plunge. And he said he gets up like super early, like 5:30 to go work out. And he says everyone says they're gonna go work out. He's like, but very few actually get up. Right. And I got up both days. I was like, oh sweet, free day at the gym. I'm in.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, check out Vanguard.
I can't wait to hear it. So how long will the podcast be?
I think it's like 7 hours. I think it's legit like 7. It's so deep. He was testing my limits of the knowledge of orthodoxy. Keep in mind, I'm 2 years into a 4-year program, so like you got to come some slack here. But he was like pushing. I mean, he was asking a lot of like really deep questions. So, wow. Okay, that's one Vanguard Wall podcast. And then shortly after this publishes the 29th, I believe we're doing 8 p.m. the Book of Eli webinar. So again, coming from the brains of me and Phil Elmore, Book of Eli, obviously there's strong Christian themes to it. There's a lot of combative themes to it. So we are essentially going to show a small clip, and then we're not doing like a scenic fight breakdown like they do on some YouTube channels. We're like showing a clip, using that for a couple of teaching points, and then give you some like practical skills. So a bunch of the information we're going to be talking about is like homemade gas mask, decon basics, dealing with multiple attackers, machete fighting, gun disarm, navigation/backpacking, fixed weapons, basic pistol marksmanship, using a garrote, essentially a rope, basic first aid, and then spiritual warfare. So obviously there's a lot there. We're going to be like, it's going to be kind of like exposure to the information. It's not going to be like a super deep dive into any of those, but I think it'll give you a new appreciation for that movie, and also it's just going to be really fun. It is a bunch of topics that I know, again, through some random experiences in the military that I've had some firsthand experiences with, that I think people will get exposed to something new, much like the Combatives Blueprint, how it covers a whole bunch of different topics. So I think this is going to be the best one we've done. I will be teaching most of it. Phil's going to teach a couple of small portions of it. And then I think we get an ebook as well. I am not sure which ebook he's including with it, but it's a good deal. I will drop the link in the show notes.
Cool. I think real quick, you should mention what the Book of Eli is for those of our listeners who are like millennials and younger.
It's a Denzel Washington movie, post-apocalypse. He's wandering around. He's got this giant machete, and I don't want to give you the twist ending, but they want his book, and there's like it's like Mad Max style, like they're trying to grab his book. I'm going to tell you what the book is. It's the Bible. But there's like another twist to the movie.
Yeah, huge twist.
Yeah, you find out about halfway through. You can find out. I feel like you can guess pretty early. It's the Bible.
Well, I'm talking about the final twist.
Yeah, the final twist is still a big twist.
It kind of makes you want to watch it a second time.
Yes. if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it ahead of time. It'll make the webinar more fun. But if you don't get to watch it in time, again, we're currently planning on showing a couple of small clips to set up each little teaching point. It's going to be so much fun. I'm super excited for this one.
And for listeners who haven't watched the movie, Denzel Washington was trained by Dan Inosanto for that. And
was he?
Yeah, he got a huge personal training with Guru Dan in Jeet Kune Do and everything, and obviously FMA and everything. So yeah, he was very well prepared for that role.
Very cool. And then other than that, check out some of the links down below. Links to online training, links to my Patreon for combative stuff, and Western Piper Methods Level 2 book is out. And then On Bladed Combatives, my masterpiece of bladed arts book, 300 pages, is now out. Contact me if you want a copy. It is overpriced on Amazon on purpose. You can contact me directly, and I will give you the discounted price. I think that's it.
All right. Looking forward to reading that book.
All right. We'll see all you guys in the next episode.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.